Good afternoon, everyone. Breaking into programming for a tornado warning that was just issued with a corridor situated within this line of potent thunderstorms rolling off to the east right here. We're going to zoom in just a little bit closer, but if you live in those areas, especially just off to the east of the Corydon area, and if you live off into southern parts of Floyd County, you need to get to your lowest floor of your home right now. That's going to be a basement. If you do not have a basement, you need to be into the interior room away from windows. We're going to look inside the particular thunderstorm here, and what I want to show you is I want to find the rotation with this particular storm, and it is making its way off to the north and east. The tornado warning goes until 3:45. That's looks like that actually just expired here. Let me step off the screen for just a moment and reposition that. The latest information, the tornado warning from the National Weather Service, will reposition that for you, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. We'll zoom in just a little bit closer. It does include just off to the western parts of Jefferson County, Kentucky. Here's a closer view. Downtown Louisville, likely going to be just on the west end. So this includes the Shively area, PRP back over toward the Lanesville community. You can see that little notch in the reflectivity there. That is where there could be a potential tornado. This is not no confirmation on the ground. This is only radar indicated. So radar rotation showing a potential for a tornado right here. The National Weather Service issued this warning, said that the severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was near Corydon and moving east at 40 miles per hour. So if you're watching this right now and you can hear us in the eastern parts of Harrison County, southern parts of Floyd County, I'm going to step back on the screen, and western Jefferson County. It does not include downtown Louisville, but it's very close. If you look right here, this we've turned on the velocity. The greens are the winds moving toward the radar. The reds are the winds moving at velocity, but still nonetheless, the National Weather Service has went with that tornado warning for the possibility of a quick spin up tornado. So if you live in Lanesville, you need to be in your safe place right now. If you live over, this does not include the New Albany area. It also does not include downtown Louisville right now, but it does include basically west of Dixie Highway. So if you live here in Jefferson County, west of Dixie Highway, there is this potential tornado. Still a little rotation right here, just off to the east of Lanesville. Not well-defined what we would call rotation, but still enough there that we will stick with this until it expires. And the expiration time here on that tornado warning goes until 4:30. So we're at 4:23 right now. So there's only 7 minutes left on that. But if you're in these areas, southern parts of Floyd, eastern Harrison County, really the rotation, what's left of it, has moved out of Harrison County at the moment. Still some strong winds for our folks watching this over in Harrison County. But southern parts of Floyd County, if there is a tornado, it's going to be into the southern part of the county, right south of Interstate 64. It's going to be west of Interstate 65, south of New Albany, east of Lanesville, and west of the Shively area. This is moving east. Let me get the latest speed here from the National Weather Service. The movement is off to the east at about 40 miles per hour. So I'm going to clear that off for you. And we're going to put a new track on the front leading edge. And this will kind of give you an indication of how quick this particular storm is moving. Let's actually go back to our tools here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The rotation not as well defined as past storms, but that doesn't mean that there couldn't be a quick tornado. I want to draw a line of this thunderstorm rolling off to the east. So bear with me here as we make this or take this off to the east. That's going to take it, if the rotation holds together, it'd be put in it here in the Louisville area within the next 30 minutes. So we're looking at Riverside Gardens at 4:30, 4:32 St. Denis, and over toward 4:34 it's going to be the Shively area. So if you're living in some of these communities I'm calling out, call your neighbor. Let them know if they are outside that they need to go indoors until the storm passes by, and they need to get to their interior room away from windows and turn up the follow us with this severe weather into your safe place until this storm passes on by. Over toward Parkwood at 4:37, Iroquois Park at 4:38, U of L at 4:40. So we'll continue to watch that. Outside of this particular storm, there are still some strong to severe thunderstorms that are rolling through the rest of, again, Harrison County up toward the Floyd County area. Those are producing some damaging winds and can do just as much damage in some cases as some weak tornadoes. So just because we're we're just talking about this one particular tornado warning for southern Floyd County doesn't mean you need to let your guard down. Let me switch things back. I want to go back over to the regular radar view. This kind of gives you a little bit better indication as to what's happening outside right now. Let me switch that back and we'll go over to the radar view. This is the standard view that you would typically see that shows how heavy the precipitation is falling. We have been seeing a little bit of a notch on the front edge of this line of thunderstorms, and that's where we could be seeing that tornado right through here. You see that little bit inflow notch? That's where, if we have a tornado, it's going to be right in that region. Still no confirmation that this was on the ground. What we were just seeing is radar indication of rotation just off to the south of Lanesville. This is very weak, and the National Weather Service has only extended this until 4:30, so it's 4:26 right now. We can actually look at our debris signature. This is another tool that the radar has, the capability of looking inside a thunderstorm and seeing if there is potential debris or not. And we're going to turn that on for you. And what you'll be able to see is if there are some brighter shades, and there is a legend on here, don't really see any clear debris showing up. So you can notice that the debris possible, if we would be having debris, it would be clearly sticking out a little bit more into this region here east of Zanesville. So, but still a little bit of this notch right here just into the southern part of Floyd County. That will be taking it off to the east toward the Shively area here pretty soon. Definitely heavy rainfall. Do not go outside trying to look for this. This is one of those events that sometimes it's likely going to be rain wrapped if there's a tornado at all. You don't want to go out there. You want to go indoors, away from windows and the lowest floor. We like to use the duck method. That's down to the lowest floor of your home. You want to get under something sturdy, whether it is a workbench or a table, something that's going to kind of help you keep you safe from things that may be falling. And then the C, center of your home, and keep away from windows. Been going over that. Still, again, a few more minutes left on that tornado warning. It's 4:28. Let me check in with the National Weather Service. We have their chat service right here off to the side of the screen. No reports, at least that I'm seeing here for the moment, of any damage coming out of this. So that's good news. We do not want to see, obviously, any damage, but no reports of either funnel clouds or any tornadoes. So it looks like here just a moment ago, they just expired the tornado warning for Jefferson, Floyd, Harrison. Looks like that rotation that was there very briefly has since lifted. But while I've got you, just for a couple more minutes here, and then we'll send it back to programming, the tornado warning for Harrison, Jefferson, and into southern Floyd County has since expired, but there still are strong thunderstorms marching across the region right now. Not only the one that we've got going on here, but we're also dealing with strong thunderstorms across the entire area at the moment. Let me kind of reset things, and you'll see a little bit more clearly, not only just the storms that we're going through southern parts of Indiana, but we're also dealing with thunderstorms that are going across into the south through eastern parts of Grayson County. So if you're living in Louisville right now, if you're living in Oldham County, down into Bullitt County, severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing there over the next hour as these strong storms will be crossing the river. Wind gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour possible there, so that's enough that can easily bring down some trees and do some damage. Another severe thunderstorm warning down here into eastern Grayson County, southern parts of Hardin County. You can kind of see that Boeing segment, that backwards shaped C. That's an indication of potential damaging wind gusts with that particular storm too. So tornado warning has since expired. Still a few severe thunderstorm warnings left. I just went down through the rundown. Jeffersonville down to Louisville, back down into even Shepherdsville, up to LaGrange. You're under that severe thunderstorm warning. We'll be here through the rest of this afternoon. A full update for you on Waythrough News beginning at 6. If anything does go severe or tornadic and we start getting some more reports, we'll be back in to let you know about it. Until then, have a good evening, and we'll see you at 6. And good evening, everyone. Want to get back into programming here. We're going to put golf in the box there on your side of the screen. But severe thunderstorms are approaching downtown Louisville as we speak. So we wanted to come back into programming to let you know that a severe thunderstorm warning capable of producing damaging wind gusts up to about 60 miles per hour, maybe stronger, coming into the Louisville metro as we speak. We're going to zoom in a little bit closer and show you this particular thunderstorm. Severe thunderstorm warning first includes Bullitt, Clark, Floyd, Jefferson until 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So we've got less than 30 minutes left on that because these storms are racing off to the east rapidly. The movement on these is about 50 miles per hour. So torrential rainfall, gusty winds on the leading edge of that coming into Valley Station. Into downtown Louisville, we're going to start feeling the effects of this. We're going to start seeing or feeling really the strong wind gusts here momentarily. And then those wind gusts continue a little bit further up to the north. So if you're watching us into southern parts of up toward Oldham County, if you're watching us down into the northern parts of Bullitt County, this is the area of concern. And it's making its way right now through Valley Station, I mentioned, coming into the Shively area. So if you're living west of the Dixie Highway, that's where the strongest winds are at the moment in the particular storm. Let me put the motion on this, the movement. This is off to the east, and you'll notice toward the end of that loop there, it's starting to bow out a little bit. So that means that that's a sign that there is likely some stronger wind gusts being found here working into western Jefferson County, especially down toward the Valley Station and Shively area. Let me stop the loop, and I'm going to move radar a little bit further up to the north just to kind of give you a better indication as to where more storms are down to the south right now. Let's pan this. We're dealing with more thunderstorms for our friends down to the south. Severe thunderstorm warnings here, and it's going to pop up on your screen there at the time of expiration for Hardin County, Hart and LaRue counties. That's going until 5 p.m. as well for this particular storm. And you see how it is bowing out there. Winds at least 60, potentially up to 70 miles per hour being found here into the Millerstown area. That's in the eastern part of Grayson County. Still some heavy rainfall into the eastern part of Litchfield, but the stronger winds definitely now crossing out of eastern Grayson County over into Hardin County. You see it just updating there. So if you're living into Elizabethtown, if you're over toward the Hodgenville area, also over toward the Cecilia community, you're going to be impacted by this storm here in the next half hour. We're going to put a track on the front edge of this particular storm and give you a little bit of a time of arrival as it works off to the north and east. So let me put that track on the front edge of these particular thunderstorms. Stronger winds on the front of this. I mentioned at about 60 miles per hour. We need to kind of change that tool, but still this gives you a little bit of a time of arrival. So toward the Sonora area at 4:48. That's going to be putting it over toward Hodgenville at 5:02, and likely it will also even impact parts of Elizabethtown. Let me go back up to the north because I want to give you a re-indication of what the rest of the area is looking like. Look at all the severe thunderstorm warnings that we have. It's going to load up here momentarily. Down toward eastern Grayson, parts of Hardin County, LaRue County, severe thunderstorm warning there. Severe thunderstorm warning for Oldham County. All of those go at 5 p.m. All of Wave Country remains under severe thunderstorm watch. That goes until 8 p.m. this evening. Here's the full rundown right now, though. This is going to give you a better indication of how many warnings that we have in place. Severe thunderstorm warning for Hardin and LaRue County. That's until 5 p.m. For Clark County, Floyd County, Harrison, Bullitt, and also Hardin County, the northern part up toward just north of Radcliffe over toward Fort Knox. That's also till 5. So several of these are going to be expiring at the top of the hour. That's good news. That tornado warning that was in effect, it has expired. It was allowed to expire early, so that's good news. You see it listed there. Breckenridge, Grayson, and Hardin County severe thunderstorm warnings. Those go until 4:45. I want to take you back, though, over to radar. This is going to give us a better indication of to where the storms are at the moment. Some of these storms also have the capability of producing some large hail that are moving into the downtown Louisville area at the moment. The latest report, let me read that from the National Weather Service here. Winds at about 60 miles per hour and the potential up to the size of quarters size hail. Let's look inside the thunderstorm once we zoom back into Jefferson County. Let's see if we have any hail showing up on our hail tracker. Definitely strong gusty winds, upwards of 60 miles per hour possible. So if you're listening to us or watching us right now in Jefferson County, northern Bullitt County, including Shepherdsville, and then up into southern parts of Oldham County, you need to be away from windows because with all the rain that we've had as of late, it's not going to take much with some strong winds to knock down some tree limbs or even some trees that could go over onto your house. So you want to stay away from windows. Valley Station, almost into downtown Louisville, especially west side of downtown, we're really starting to see that heavy rain beginning to pick up, even several flash I want to show you now. Let me go back on. I want to show you again, if there's any hail in this particular thunderstorm, we can track it here for you by looking at our hail scope. This is going to zoom in on this particular thunderstorm in particular, and it's going to show us if we do over into parts of Floyd County. Radar at least indicating upwards of potentially quarter-size hail, definitely some nickel-size hail possible with this storm over into Floyd County, back down into eastern Harrison County. This is just off to the east of New Middletown. Now, even though there's not any hail showing up on the product here for Jefferson County, doesn't mean that we couldn't see some. This product's just a little bit delayed, but if you're watching us here, strong gusty winds and the potential for hail up to the size of quarters. Now look at the radar view one more time. I want to take this storm just a little bit further up to the north, and you'll see what I'm talking about with more thunderstorms for our friends that are watching us up to the north in parts of Oldham County. You are also dealing with some strong gusty winds here too, and into also Clark County. Look at this, Charlestown up to near New Washington. Very heavy rainfall. So if you're traveling on Interstate 65, it is going to be a slow go right now. And you want to probably try to pull over and wait until this storm passes on by, because those winds going at 60 miles per hour or stronger could make it definitely difficult to travel, especially if you're in a high profile vehicle such as a tractor trailer truck. Looking again, New Washington down to Charlestown, these strong winds are coming into downtown Louisville at the moment, and even extending down to the south toward the Ford Assembly Plant. You're going to be next in line. Already coming into Valley Station. Down to the south, I want to look back at this storm that's making it 5 o'clock. The warning is also has the capability of producing wind gusts upwards of 60, maybe stronger. Looking here at the Weather Service, it looks like no real damage reports being found, at least with the storm up to the north. But Jesse in Litchfield reporting that power was out earlier, and that's from this storm right here. That would make sense because you could see the storm, how it's bowing out, or it has that C shape to her, backward shaped C. That's an indication for us on radar that we're definitely dealing with some strong winds, and that's working its way. Next in line is going to be down over toward Hodgenville and eventually into southern parts of LaRue County. Now we're going to send it over to Kevin Harney. Kevin, what's the latest that you see over there?
Yeah, you know, and Justin, a lot of folks at home, just know you're not going to miss the golf game. We'll put it up in double boxes. We're in a commercial break right now with the tornado sirens going off for that warning that was just out, and with the severe thunderstorm moving through Jefferson County with winds in excess of 50 miles to 60 miles an hour. We wanted to be on to give you nonstop weather coverage here. So we'll get it through our most populated area, and then we'll get you back to golf in the full screen. But in the meantime, we do have some pretty mean winds around, as Justin's pointed out. Sometimes the reports of damage delayed. I know I was coming in just a few minutes ago, and we've got trees down downtown with large branches that have been blown out of trees. So we do have some strong winds on the leading edge of this system. Now, that would be rolling close to the Highlands at this point. Okolona next in line would be Linden, J-Town, Fern Creek, Prospect. You're all going to experience at least those 40 to 50 mile per hour winds. And notice the wind gust at the airport just now at the top banner. It's 56 miles per hour. So we do have some strong winds. That's severe criteria. That will do 35 miles an hour, Justin. So we've got our eyes on the radar. I think we're going to wind up with some power outages at least, and we'll see how many of these storms actually put down enough wind to throw down some trees. Justin? Go ahead. Yeah, with the torrential rain that we've seen as of late, Kevin, it's not going to take much with the saturated ground for sure, with winds over 50, 55 miles per hour to bring down at least some tree limbs, maybe even some trees in general. So strong gusty winds will continue with just about all the storms that are marching through the area today, especially this one that's down to the south. We're going to go back up to the storm that's coming through parts of Jefferson County, because we have had reports of, again, some power that was out, even power out down into the Litchfield area. That just goes to show you the strength of the wind. So if you're watching us in Hodgenville and in LaRue County, if you're watching us also into the southern part of Hardin County, south of Elizabethtown, down toward the Harcourt area, southern part of the county along the Western Kentucky Parkway and south, that's the greatest impact zone for some strong winds. Let's go back to the north, and I want to show you what the storm is doing into Jefferson County again. We're going to go back on a home view, kind of reset things so you can see what's going on across the
entire area. There's the severe thunderstorm warning that's working into Jefferson County. Torrential rain coming into downtown Louisville right now. You're not going to be able to see. Visibility greatly reduced with that wind-driven rain. It just only makes it harder to see. And if you're in a high-profile vehicle or any vehicle for that matter, when winds are that strong, it is hard to keep the car on the road. So that's dangerous. Take time to pull over. And if you are thinking about going out in the next little bit, think otherwise until these storms come on through our area. Here's a closer view into downtown Louisville. Here we are into the Watterson, down toward the Gene Snyder. If you're going west on either one of those, you're going to go straight into the heaviest amounts of rain. Gusts 58 miles per hour or stronger. And we also have the potential for at least quarter-size hail out of this. We can look back in the thunderstorm for that, but the biggest concern is really just going to be for the strong winds. And we've had some already power reports or power outage reports into the area. Let's go on, though. I want to widen out the view, show you all the watches and warnings that we've got across the region. And we also have our power outage map that will be showing us where we actually are dealing with some outages. This is the latest look at how many warnings that we have ongoing. The severe thunderstorm warning for Hardin LaRue County till 5. The one that's including Jefferson County, Metro Louisville, southern parts of Floyd and eastern Harrison County, that also goes to 5. And down in Breckenridge and Grayson, also LaRue counties, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. That's until 4:45. So we're right now sitting at time frame 4:46. So that is actually expiring. The tornado warning has also expired, but I want to go on and show you. We have our power outages on here toward the end of this, don't we, Kevin? At the end of that, I want to see if we can pull that up.
Jump to it. Temperatures are obviously very warm. It's been feeding. Wanted to point out also the SkyTrack network of cameras that we have. So let's punch that up and you can see the torrential rain coming down. This is going to slow you down if you're out and about and maybe listening to us on the radar or on the radio, I should say. And I'm just seeing additional severe thunderstorm warnings coming in for far western parts of Greene County to our south. We'll get to that in just a second. Let me go ahead and show that to you. That's the one moving through Goodnight right along 31E. That's going to approach Greensburg within the next half hour. So if you are viewing us from the southern part of our viewing area down toward Greene County, that storm is moving in your direction. Again, all of these have the same general threats, and that's heavy rain. Of course, that's not the reason it's severe. The severe part comes with those wind gusts over 55 to 60 a little bit of time. Meanwhile, it's the wind gusts that we've been watching. 56 knots in Louisville. Those are near 60 mile per hour winds. You can see some areas, and there are more popping up that have power outages. This is Harrison County. 141 customers reporting power outages at this point. Down into the Litchfield area, more than that, 23%. That's 1,765 customers we have without power. And I have a feeling even here in Louisville, our power outages are going to start to tick up as well. So it's this map that we'll be watching for additional showers and thunderstorms. Back to Max 2 we go, and you can see the thunderstorms lined up along that line. Additional warnings coming out for the metro, and I'll just zoom into that zone. And that's the reason we're on with the strong wind potential and the potential for power outages. You're still seeing the golf game. We'll get you back to that in its entirety where you can hear it and see it full screen coming up in just a few. But with these strong storms moving through, the initial tornado warning came out, and that has been allowed to expire. But we're still seeing very strong winds. And look at that. You see 64 mile per hour winds at the Louisville International Airport. That's in that top banner. So we have had some very strong winds. Regardless, tornado or not, that can do damage, and likely we'll be seeing some of those reports coming in. Justin?
Yeah, just was checking in with the National Weather Service into that severe thunderstorm that severe thunderstorm warning for Jefferson County, Bullitt County. That is also a tornado possible. So what they're saying by that when they put that wording in is that there is very little rotation at the moment, but it wouldn't take much to see a quick spin up tornado with this particular storm in Jefferson County. I'm going to zoom back into downtown into Metro Louisville, and you'll see the storm Lake Fern Creek area. These storms are coming your way, and they are moving at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. So you add that in to wind gusts that are over 60, and that definitely can create some damage or bring down some power lines or even some trees. So these strong storms will continue to move through Louisville. They'll be out of likely metro Louisville here within the next 45 minutes to an hour. Off to the east, they'll hold together, and next in line, that would be putting it for our friends in Shelbyville and over into Shelby County down into Spencer County. But look at these strong storms down extending even further south. We mentioned the warning does include Bullitt County. So if you're watching us just off to the northwest of Shepherdsville, some very strong winds also within that particular part of the storm. I want to look at the winds one more time. This is the velocity. This is the winds inside the storm. The radar is able to see which way that the winds are moving. You'll notice when we get really all one color like that, all the reds, that is winds that are going away from the radar. If we were going to be talking about rotation in here for a tornado, we would be seeing some colors of greens or some of the blues there, which would mean winds going in opposite directions of each other. But right now, not seeing that. So that's good news. But don't let your guard down. 60 miles per hour winds can bring down trees that could fall over on your house. So that's why you need to be into an interior room, regardless if it's a tornado warning or not, and away from windows. Don't be looking out the window trying to see how strong the winds are, because one of those trees or limbs could come down into the window. And again, that lightning too is pretty vivid with this particular thunderstorm in general, along with some heavy rain. I want to take that off, and I want to go up here and look one more time. Let's go back into the storm. I'm going to widen out the view here, Kevin, and I'm going to go back just east of Charlestown down to Prospect right now into the northeastern parts of Jefferson County, western Oldham County, down into downtown Louisville, eastern parts of Jefferson County, all included in this severe thunderstorm warning. And it goes all the way down here to the Shepherdsville. Likely the strongest winds, Kevin, are going to stay just to the north, though, of Shepherdsville, at least at this time.
Yeah, pretty much running right through central and southern parts of Jefferson County, it looks like. In fact, I've put the velocity up. That's the product Justin was mentioning that gives us an indication of those strong winds. We see some of these pockets, but it really is along this leading edge. I mean, that's what moved through the airport. So J-Town, you're likely have seen in the last minute some of the strongest winds. That's going to be moving off to the east. Let me just put a track on that for you so you can get an idea of where the strongest part of this is going. And it's moving off to the east at about 35 to 40 miles an hour. So I'm going to track not just the severe thunderstorm warning, but the strongest winds. And as we take that to the east, you're going to see some of these towns. This would be Seatonville, Fisherville, Simpsonville, all in the path of those strong winds within the next 15 to 20 minutes. So we're talking, at the airport, we had 64 mile per hour wind gusts around at I would think that anywhere between 60 and 70 mile per hour winds would be likely right on that leading edge. So moving through the J-Town area, moving right across parts of eastern Jefferson County at this point, and soon to move into parts of far western Shelby County. Back to Max 1 we go, and you'll notice across the area that we will be seeing showers and thunderstorms, not just producing that wind potential, but also the very heavy rain that's moving through. On a saturated ground, flash flooding will happen. Now, the good part is, so the threat for severe weather will be ongoing throughout at least the next hour here in Louisville, and then it's out of here, and then showers and thunderstorms remain to our south. Let me go back, and we'll just take you on a little radar tour. I'm going to go to our home view here, and then we'll bounce through all of the warnings that we have, because we do have showers and thunderstorms in the northern part of the viewing area. The good news is, for the most part, those are below severe limits. No warnings well to our north at this point. However, that's not the case close to the river. That includes parts of Orange, Washington, over into parts of Scott and Jefferson counties. You're still under that watch. Now, the warning is just south of you, lined up right across the Ohio River, including us here in Louisville. Additional warnings down toward Elizabethtown, and additional warnings down into parts of Greene and Hart counties. So those are the three warnings that we're working with. We mentioned the flash flooding. Notice we do have the flash flood warning warning just now coming out east of Evansville. That's a sign of things to come, I think, for some areas in our viewing area where we will wind up seeing some of that flooding potential. So let's go to the velocity. This gives us an indication where we have those strongest winds. And if you will, I'm just going to zoom in to a number of locations. And we'll start with the first warning, and then we'll just make our way south. So here we go through the Louisville warning. And again, it's right on that leading edge where we have the very strong winds. 65-mile-per-hour winds are recorded. So we know they're at least that strong. That's what the airport measured. They could be stronger. And we could see 70, 75-mile-an-hour winds, some of these storms as they pass by. The thing is, they were a little stronger just back toward the airport, so it appears to be weakening just a bit. But 55 to 60-mile-an-hour winds can still certainly knock out some power outage, or knock out some power. Going off across the entire county, that was for a prior tornado warning that had been issued. And while that's still possible, it is a severe thunderstorm. But let's treat this as though it's just a storm with super powerful winds, and you need to make sure you're away from windows. The lowest level is always the best place, but this will soon be out of here. And as it moves on through, once that threat of those 70-mile-per-hour winds tames down, we'll get you back to programming. Let's go to our south. We'll mention E-Town, seeing some winds. You'll notice the color change, obviously, where we have Fort Knox. That's the radar site. And we're still seeing some very strong winds down across parts of LaRue County. This moving on into Hodgenville, Buffalo, Sonora, Magnolia, that area. And then the final warning is just a bit farther to the south. It's not in Greene County yet, but it soon will be. That's Donensburg, Lyalltown Center. This is moving in your direction. Let me put the radar on. So we've been looking at the wind, and you can see those brighter colors, an indication of where we have those strongest bursts of wind, but obviously some very heavy rain through there as well. New severe thunderstorm warning coming out. We'll go to that. This one includes parts of Bullitt, Hardin, LaRue, and Nelson. So it's that same storm we were just looking at across the Hodgenville area where we said, hey, moving toward Buffalo, Sonora, Magnolia, we had that core of heavy wind. That is going to be lifting up into southern Nelson County, my hometown, New Haven. There's Boston and Bardstown. You're going to be seeing this push in your direction as well. So I'm going to go back to the storm we were looking at just south of that. This is the one moving into Greene County. Now to our home view, and then I'm going to put it into motion so you can see where these storms are going throughout the rest of the next 15 to 20 minutes here. So let's put it into motion, and you can see they're generally moving to the east at a pretty good clip, but they do have a northward jog to them, and that's the reason that storm out of LaRue. Obviously, you're under the warning in LaRue and Nelson, but Marion County, Washington, the northern part of Nelson County, and then over into Shelby, as well as Henry County should all be on standby for potentially damaging winds this entire line may hold. Justin?
Yeah, getting reports in from the 911 dispatch over in the Cordon area of multiple trees down over there. That's from the same thunderstorm that's coming through Jefferson County, Kentucky right now. So with that particular storm, there's clear path that some damage has occurred with this thunderstorm and even some power outages being reported too. Let's switch over to Max 2 if we've not already done so. We have. Thank you for following me there in the back. Severe thunderstorm warnings, as Kevin was just mentioning, the one that's continuing to come through Jefferson County, even our friends to the north. Look at this up in parts of Oldham County. When you start seeing those brighter shades of red and that pink, that is radar indicating that winds at least possibly up to 60 miles per hour. But we've already seen reports of that. So on the leading edge of these storms coming through the Springhurst area, coming through J-Town right now, Middletown, next in line, if you live in far eastern Jefferson County, they just issued that new severe thunderstorm warning just because the winds continue to be at severe levels. Let's get the latest information on that from the National Weather Service here. You can see the radar indication 5:30 p.m. for Bullitt, Clark, looking into Jefferson County, Oldham County until 5:30 for that new severe thunderstorm warning. When you look at the radar picture here, you're definitely seeing very heavy rainfall, but what you don't see by just looking at the radar images are just how strong the winds are. I'm going to put a track on the front edge of this because the latest movement, let me get the latest speed from the Weather Service on this. It's moving eastbound at about 40 miles per hour. So through Jefferson County and even into Bullitt County and into Oldham County. Off to the east, let's do it over the next 30 minutes here. That's going to put it in Satanville at 5:03, Eastwood at 5:06, Mount Washington at 5:10, Simpsonville down the line at 5:13, Smithfield at 5:18, and Shelbyville, you're about 5:23. That's when you're going to start feeling the impacts from this particular storm. First, it'll be some strong strong gusty winds. Then the rain will pick up. Not as much hail showing up with this particular storm now. The latest indication is at least potential there for maybe up to penny-size hail, if that. The greatest concern definitely going to be for some strong damaging wind gusts, and we've had reports of it. We've had reports of some trees down back over into Cordon. That's the same storm that came through Harrison County that's coming through here in Jefferson, Oldham, and Bullitt counties, even Clark County right now. We'll continue to look for other reports, but I know I've seen on Twitter here, Kevin, that power lines down across the county too.
Yeah, we're starting to see that. In fact, I just checked with LG&E. They have about 8,000 customers at this point without power, and that's what they know about. So I have a feeling we'll be adding to that number by the thousands. So we do have power outages going on. You're bound to have that when you have, at the last check, we had 64 mile per hour winds. We're now down to 44. That's still enough to cause some problems. That's in general along this line, which is where we have the warnings. We mentioned earlier putting on standby Shelby, Henry counties. That's what Justin was mentioning, that now the warning has been extended for those folks because of that strong wind threat. So again, severe thunderstorm warning, wind speeds at or above 60 miles an hour, parts of Henry, Jefferson, Oldham, Spencer, Shelby, and Trimble counties, as well as Clark County, Indiana. So you can see that that warning continues. I'm going to stop the radar here, and then obviously we have a tremendous number of power outages. You can sort of see how this bows just a bit. That's that forward push of air that has to do that. So that's the wind itself. This is moving at about 45 miles an hour, so the winds have to be at least as strong as the movement itself. So we know we have winds of 40 to 45 miles an hour. We're seeing those gusts as we speak, and that's back here at the airport. So you can imagine they're going to be stronger on the forward edge of this. Now moving through Middletown, Simpsonville's next in line, Crestwood, LaGrange, moving up toward Greenhaven and Oldham. You're on the path of this moving in with those very strong winds likely. Again, we're staying with this nonstop weather coverage for the severe thunderstorm warning for Jefferson County. A couple of reasons. The tornado sirens were going off for an earlier tornado warning. That certainly got everybody's attention. All your alerts were going off. We want to make sure we can give you the most up-to-date weather information. We have no tornado warning at this time, but we do have very powerful winds pushing through. And because we feel like they're just kind of prone to doing damage, meaning knocking down the trees and the power lines, we wanted to stay on to give you at least until this weekend's just a bit. So we're going to stay on as this moves through such a populated area, and we'll get you back to the golf game as we mentioned. But right now we're still not only seeing the very strong winds, but very heavy rains moving from far western Oldham County through central and eastern parts of Jefferson County. You still are under the severe thunderstorm warning. I'll tell you, while I have this here, I'm just going to put this into motion so you can see the general movement. And boom, as that moves through, you're going to notice those strong winds on the leading edge of this. So very strong winds now, a rainmaker for us. But let's look at the velocity. This is a wind measurement for us, and this gives us an idea of where we have those most powerful winds. Again, we're looking for these brighter colors, and you can see moving through the Crestwood area, back over not too far from Anchorage. Just going to pull this down. Middletown, strong winds there. J-Town just past you, right along the Snyder. We have some very strong winds passing through. That would include just north of the Fern Creek area. So those are zones where we could have that 60 to 70 mile per hour wind and the threat for more power outages. We're already up to over 7,000 customers without power from LG&E across their service area here. Likely to see a few more of those added to the list rather shortly as this continues to move across Jefferson County. Let's go south. Here we go down into parts of Bullitt County. You're still under the warning, extreme northern Bullitt County. That would be Hillview over toward Mount Washington. Strong winds progressing in your area as well. And then off to the south, so on standby. Places like Waterford over into the western parts of Spencer County. South, we have a warning that includes a good chunk of Nelson County from Boston over to Bardstown, Balltown, New Haven. There's Roanoke, northern LaRue County, and you can see thunderstorms moving in that direction likewise. And let's just take a view while we have that zoomed in. Let's just take a view of the winds there, see if we have any stronger winds. Right now, it's looking about 45 to 50 mile an hour winds on some of these. See some of those stronger winds right over the Buffalo area. So we do have some strong winds. though it appears that it's weakening just a bit. We do have winds that have put down trees in the Prospect area, so that's a new report coming in from the National Weather Service. And I have a feeling Justin's going to be delivering a few more of those to us, the far western and southern parts of Greene County. And that storm, likewise, producing some very strong winds. We go back inside that with the velocity, and let me just show you what we have pushing through here. And very strong winds, and they're going as 45 to 55 miles an hour would be what the radar is showing. So anywhere along that line between 40 and 60 mile per hour winds seems to be a good bet, and in a few isolated places I think we could see those 65 to 70 mile per hour winds, and that's what we had in Louisville. 64 mile per hour winds at the airport within the last half hour. Warnings all along this line, and should be treated with attention because of those strong winds that are certainly knocking down some trees and power lines. Justin?
Yeah, the latest update here from LG&E shows that the latest power outages across the area, over 7,000, and that number obviously going to continue to go higher as more reports come in. But if you look at the thunderstorm, thankfully the strongest winds now are making their way east of downtown Louisville. They're working over into, next in line is going to be western Shelby County, over into even western Henry County, but it's really coming through still fairly strong into Oldham County right now. Let me zoom back in on radar and go back into this particular storm. A lot of rain. That's one thing for sure. That goes without saying. Torrential downpours, but we're beginning to see the radar, the storm itself, beginning to bow out just a little bit more here into the eastern part of Jefferson County, right here toward the Connor community. That's likely an indication of at least winds 60 miles per hour stronger. The winds coming out of the storm and pushing across the region. We mentioned, Kevin did just a moment ago, there was a large tree down reported up there in the Prospect area. That was reported from a homeowner. We also have another report back here, a thunderstorm wind gust that was back again at the International Airport earlier of 64 miles per hour. So we'll continue following the storm reports for you, Kevin.
All right, Justin, thank you. As we go back to the radar, you can see we're still under the warnings. Eastern Jefferson County into Shelby, Spencer, moving into Oldham County and past on over into Henry County. That's one warning. Then additional warnings down into LaRue, Nelson, southern parts of Bullitt County, and then Greene and Hart counties to our south. The bulk of the storm has passed us here in Louisville. We'll give you a live picture of what it looks like outside, and you can see that the sky's letting up. I mean, a while ago, we couldn't even pick out the closest building to us. It was raining that hard. Our SkyTrack camera showing in the distance as we look westbound, even some breaks in the clouds with the sun shining. So there is a fast moving system passing by. It's not going to last long, but boy, it's packing a punch as it moves in. So folks on the leading edge of this, and I'm going to zoom into those areas, you should be prepared for some very strong winds. As Justin has pointed out, it appears to be weakening just a bit, but right on the apex of where this bows out a bit, moving through Connor, right along 64, as well as Shelbyville Road, passing through Middletown now and knocking on Simpsonville and eventually Shelbyville's door. We do have some very strong winds, and we have trees reported down along 64. We've got wires down downtown, so those 64 mile per hour winds now gusting to 44 have certainly left their mark. And we've mentioned the Prospect tree. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing more and more areas that have had some damage. We're up to about nearing 8,000 customers from LG&E without power. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning continues, and that's for another 22 minutes. That goes until 5:30 across parts of Jefferson County.
The region there, Kevin, we had that severe thunderstorm warning for Greene County. Southern parts of our coverage area, that goes until 5:15, so only 6 minutes left on that storm. Hardin County, severe thunderstorm warning, it expired at top of the hour there at 5 o'clock. So the ones we have left, Bullitt, Hardin County, LaRue County, Nelson County till 5:30, and then Clark, Indiana, Bullitt, Henry, Jefferson, and Oldham until 5:30 as well. I want to go back to the radar view first. Look at the power outage map. This is not updated fully yet, but you'll notice it does show reports down into Grayson County and over into Harrison County, Indiana. There's a live look into downtown Louisville. A lot calmer than what things were just, even 15 to 20 minutes ago. But I want to go back to the radar view. This is kind of giving us a reset and talk about the thunderstorms that are down to the south. We had a few more warnings. The one that's going into southern Nelson County. It was drawn to include even Bardstown, but as Kevin mentioned earlier, it was going to bypass there and stay well to the south. So strong storms, potentially severe, going through southern Nelson, eastern parts of LaRue County with very, very heavy rain. For our friends down in Greene County, this is the storm here coming down to Fry's right now, the center area over toward the Hudgens community. That's off to the west of you right now, Greensburg, but it is coming your way. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning down here into southwest Greene County until 4:15 Central Daylight Time. That is 5:15 Eastern Time, so only about 5 minutes left. Let's reset and go back to the Metro Louisville. One good thing that I'm noticing about this view here is that the reflectivity, the rain, it started to become a little bit more ragged. So the storm itself likely getting a little weaker as it rolls off to the east. But let's look inside the winds, because it's not always a great indication just by looking at the rain. Look at the strong winds in western Shelby County up here south of LaGrange. Wind gusts could still be on the order of 60 to 65 miles per hour. So that's enough that it can easily bring some big tree limbs down. And it's moving off to the east toward Shelbyville at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. So heads up Eminence, heads up Shelbyville, heads up Veach, and even down to Taylorsville. These storms are coming your way. I'm going to put an updated track on this as its latest movement puts it at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. So this is how soon it's going to be in your neck of the woods. We'll take it out over the next 30 minutes. That's going to be looking into the Shelbyville area at 5:15. So we only got a few minutes before the strongest winds start impacting you there into downtown Shelbyville, maybe a little bit longer than that. Eminence about 5:19 and Christiansburg at 5:24, Harrisonville at 5:30. So yes, some strong winds are continuing even though the rain may be getting weaker. Kevin?
Okay, Justin, thanks. Just hung up with Metro Safe, the 911 dispatch center here downtown. I want to give a report on that. We do have some areas, and they say they are very busy working trees down and power lines down. Seemingly the hardest hit areas are over near Seneca Trail, Seneca Boulevard, and Taylorsville Road. So that general area hard hit with some of those power lines that have been down. And obviously from LG&E, we can see that we have about 8,000 customers without power. Now, the bulk of the heavy rain is moving out, and consequently the strongest winds are out ahead of that as well. We're going to stay on for about another 5 to 8 minutes here, and we'll get you back. This is weakening just a bit, still under the warnings, but as we've moved it through Jefferson County, the winds at the airport at 64 miles an hour, those were measured, and those just kept moving in their eastward direction, weakening just a bit. So we're back down to what we would say a normal severe thunderstorm would be. Information on the area's #1 app. That's the Wave 3 weather app. If you don't have that, download it. It's free, and you can see the showers and thunderstorms extend all the way into the southern part of our viewing area. This includes warnings for the far southern and western parts of Greene County. That storm's lifting up out of Hart County and will be impacting some folks down there. Additional warnings being issued over toward the Cincinnati area. That's just outside of our viewing area, and for the most part, this will be leaving our area. And in the wake of that, just a little more rain, flash flooding. These storms are moving luckily fast enough to where we're not seeing a tremendous amount of flash flooding. So that is some good news. Additional scattered storms would be possible into the overnight hours for some of you. And the threat of severe weather once again will be diminishing once this initial line passes. So that's some good news. Now the front moves through tomorrow, and that will bring some slightly cooler, drier weather for the middle part of next week. Meanwhile, we still have another thunderstorm chance to contend with for tomorrow. Let's go through the radar again as we zoom through, and I'll point out a couple of things. First of all, we'll go through the warnings, and then I'll ask that we see some of our SkyTrack cameras once again, because we have a number of those situated across the area. We'll start with this warning in our viewing area. It's moving across eastern Jefferson County. For the most part, the threat of severe weather is ending in Jefferson County. We'll forward that over into parts of, you can see Henry County, Newcastle, in on 421 with some heavy rain as well as that wind moving into Smithfield. So you're starting to see that wind tick up in the Henry County area, passing through Oldham County with some very heavy rain and lightning, and additional thunderstorms passing now into Shelbyville. That's right along Interstate 64 and Shelbyville Road. It's of Spencer County. That's going to take you over into the Normandy area and then eventually western Shelby as well. So Simpsonville likely to get clipped with another round of heavy rain and then into Shelbyville as well. So a little more rain left for you guys, as well as some gusty winds. Down to Mount Washington, you're in with the heavy rain, the wind just preceding that. So it's likely seeing some gusty winds into the Taylorsville area. So at this point, that's one of two severe thunderstorm warnings that we have. Back to the home view, and I'll point out the other. That's to our south across well, in fact, now the one for Greene County has been allowed to expire. So that is the only warning we have in the viewing area. Now, the other one that we'll be watching will be the one moving toward Adair County. And that is the southernmost part of the viewing area. And we'll just get it centered up here, and then we'll go in a little close. This storm is going to move into Adair County. If it maintains its strength, the warning will be extended to include parts of Adair County, including Gradyville, as well as Nail, just shy of Columbia. So we'll watch that, right? It's just over Edmonton and Curtis. So the Tennessee border, but nonetheless not too far from our viewing area. Let's go back home, and then we'll zoom into the Louisville area, as you can see with those thunderstorms passing by. One more check of all of the SkyTrack cameras here. So let's jump outside and show you what it's like here in Louisville. Things calming down downtown, and you can see we're getting more reports of trees down. This one over the St. Matthews area, and it, from the SkyTrack camera downtown, that was a thing of the past, and now we're going to calm things down into the evening hours. Other views that we have from across the area, there's our camera here at the studios, still showing a cloudy sky, the rain counties off to our east. We'll get one more check from Justin Logan. And Justin, any additional reports that you have before we return to our regularly scheduled programming, golf?
Yeah, Kevin, LG&E reporting the power outage customer is up to near 15,000 right now again. So those numbers continue to go higher as more reports obviously are coming in. There's the big board one more time. Still that severe thunderstorm warning, 13 minutes left on it. That includes us here in eastern Jefferson County, over into parts of Oldham County, the southern part of the area, and over into Henry County, Shelby County in a warning also. That goes until 5:30. And down to the south, that Greene County warning has since expired. We did have a report too. I'm going to go back to radar and throw on some of the more storm reports. This kind of gives us just a rundown of at least what we've seen so far in the system here. It shows what storm reports have been across the area. A tree was reported down into a large tree at that, reported down in the Prospect area. Strong wind gusts earlier at the airport, and another tree down over in the St. Matthews area, Kevin. So other than that, let me get it up there one more time, and you'll be able to see what we're talking about. This is just all that we have so far. Some trees down in around Louisville, more up to the north, and then even some strong winds being reported down in Litchfield. So with these winds this afternoon, Kevin, it's probably going to take a while for us to just see the extent of how much, at least in terms of damage, was potentially left behind by these strong afternoon thunderstorms. The good news is, as you mentioned, once we get through this round of storms, things should stay tapering off, or at least calming down for the next few hours.
Okay, Justin, thank you. Nice job. And just checking the LG&E numbers once again, we're up to 15,000 customers without power. So that's almost doubled since the last time we checked those numbers. So that will continue to climb. Say goodbye for now. We're going to be here, obviously. You can keep up to date with us on our social streams, as well as on the Wave 3 News weather app. That's free in your app store. And if we need to break back into programming, we'll do so. But for Justin Logan, I'm Kevin Harned for the entire team here at Wave 3 News. Thanks for watching, and we'll be here as needed.